awesome.
Hooray!
What's good, folks? How you doing? Hope your week was good. My week was dope, actually. I had a really, really good week this week. We traveled again. We were on the road again, and that's what we'll be talking about today on today's podcast, as opposed to tomorrow's podcast. But we'll be talking about what we did this week. Like I said, we traveled. But first, I want to give a quick, fast... I want to do a quick, fast mental health check, folks. How was your mental health this week? Are you conscious of it? Are you not? I'm going to say this every week. Your mental health is very, very important. Over the week, there were some tragedies that were mental health related, I'm sure. There was I think the guy from the Ellen DeGeneres show committed suicide. So it's very important for me to keep tabs on my mental health, because you run up on things like that out of nowhere. You're sitting in a hotel room someplace, hating your life. So I want to make sure everybody's mental health is good. My friends, my family, everybody around me, everybody that I come into contact with, and you should do the same. I hope that everybody who is listening now, your mental health is on task with being positive, having a positive mental health week. Because it is 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. I sometimes, fade in and out of good and bad mental states. But, for the most part, I try and divert myself to do other things, or to try and change my train of thought when I start thinking about things that cause me grief or anxiety or stress or anything like that. So it's really good to put a pulse on your mental health during the week. Is it good? Is your mental health dead, or is it thriving? So yeah, that's very important to me, and it should be important to you also, and the people around you. So I want to give some shout-outs. Actually, I just want to give one shout-out to former President Donald Trump. That's right, former President Donald Trump. I'm actually giving a shout-out, but I'm giving a shout-out to... What a dumbass. He's got these NFTs out. He has made some NFTs to make himself look like this superhero, which I don't understand why. I just don't. I really don't understand why motherfuckers still follow this motherfucker, even though he is clearly the motherfucker of the century. So I'm just, it's all right, though. You know what I mean? People follow him. People like him for the reasons that they like him. I don't have to like him. They don't have to not like him. So it is what it is. To each their own. But for me, I'm sorry. I can't spend money on no NFTs with this motherfucker on it, or anything else with that motherfucker on it. So I've used the word motherfucker a lot in the last few phrases. But that's my mood today. So, yeah. Dope shit award. Well, like I said, I traveled this week. And I went down to Fort Myers, Florida, Southwest Florida. And I went down there for my best friend's wedding, who is actually... one of the people that I thank at the end of my show every week for his coaching and his mentorship. And his daughter got married this past week. And it was absolutely fantastic. I like going to weddings anyway. So, we had a great time. Me and my wife had we had a couple of cocktails, but we're not drunk by any stretch of the imagination. But we were, very loose. We had a great time. It was a good party. It was a great wedding. And but that's although that was pretty dope, shout out to Jordan Yandel, by the way. Even though that was really dope, the Dope Shit Award actually has to go to my producer and the owner of the station, the Podcast Playground, on Shack Food Radio, the platform that my podcast is on. It has to go to Gentry Thomas, because I got the opportunity to go and sit in the studio live this week, because that's where the studio is also. So I went to sit in the studio, and I just got to say, man, it is really dope. And I mean, to watch, I've known Gentry for a long time, and to watch him come from where I met him at to where he is now, it is just leaps and bounds, and it is incredible what he has done and what he has created for everybody, really, for everybody to listen to, for everybody to enjoy, just to have great times. He works very hard. I got a chance to sit in and watch him, do some work to some of the podcasts, and I met some of the guys from the other podcast that came in, and I'm friends with those guys too. So to sit there and see them actually work was very cool, because I know them all on a different level. Now, there was a couple of people that were there that I didn't know so well, but I am familiar with them. But even still, it was a great time. It was a great couple of days, and that was even doper than that. Is I actually stayed on the property in our RV. Like I said, my wife and I, we traveled. We were on the road again this week, and we stayed in our RV. And Gentry, our producer, was gracious enough to let us, get some shack down space in his garage. He has a paved garage that we were able to connect our RV to, and yeah, we were able to stay there, and I was able to get a little bit of work done, but I was just more there to observe, and I had a great time. So it was absolutely super dope to be there, super dope to be invited there, and super dope to be welcome there. And I do appreciate you, G, man. I really do, man. And this week's recipient of the Dope Shit Award is my man, Gentry Thomas, founder and president of Shack Fu Radio and the Podcast Playground. And Muddy Country Radio, too. So if you're into country music, why don't you head on over there and check out some Muddy Country. If you don't really know, there are some other entities. There's Shack Fu Radio, which is a 24-hour day, 7 days a week, online hip-hop radio station that basically I've seen people listen from around the world, Afghanistan, and all kinds of crazy shit like that. It is a really good station. It's got to have there's like we do like retro. There's mixes that we get from famous DJs. There's new music that we play and keep people abreast to. We do I know we used to do like artist spotlights, like people unsigned hype, basically. People that would, come on that don't really have a deal. We'd play their tune, and play a couple just so they get a little bit of radio play. So that was one thing that G actually put together also to kind of get some people that hadn't gotten any burn or radio play to kind of get their music out there in front of a larger or a broader audience. So again, Dope Shit Award goes to my man, Gentry Thomas, for just being, all around hospitable dude, man. I appreciate you so. But like I said, while I was sitting there, I was working on my podcast, and while I was working, I came up on this week's Earbudz, and just kind of sitting there surfing the web while everything was going on, and there is an album that you need to go get. It is called Overgrown. And I saw this artist. She was on the NPR Tiny Desk, which I thought was pretty good. I mean, she was a bit pitchy in some spots, but the music was really good. The instrumentation was really good. Her name is Joyce Wrice, Wrice. And the album is called Overgrown. And the genre is neo-soul, or like R&B. It's really soulful. It's real sultry, sexy kind of music. Real, just soothing music. Just if you got somebody, you want to get down with your lady a little bit, you want to lay around, you want to have some cocktails, you want to watch movies, Netflix, and chill. This is some really good music for that. So, and really, it's just good music to just, if you're by yourself, to just lounge and vibe out to. If you want to study or something, it's just really, really good. Now, I didn't get any track names or anything like that, but if you're interested, and I think that you should go if you're into R&B or neo soul, that you should definitely go and get on YouTube. Go to NPR's Tiny Desk, and like I said, her name is Joyce Wrice, Wrice, and her Tiny Desk was really good. So I listened to some of the actual album cuts, and super good, man. Just super good. Better than the Tiny Desk. The Tiny Desk was great, but the album cuts were just really good. And I'd never heard of this girl until, a couple of days ago when I sat down to do some research for this week's Earbudz, and I was kind of burned out on the hip hop thing, and I wanted to kind of, get into something else. So I started listening to I listened to neo soul anyway. I listened to a lot of alternative type soul music. So this kind of just struck a chord with me, and yeah, I definitely enjoy it. It's something that's completely bumpable. You can bump it by yourself. You could bump it in your car. You could bump it with your lady, and you won't be disappointed. So this week's Earbudz is Joyce Wrice, and the album is called Overgrown. So if you can go out and cop it, cop it. Today's strain of the week is White Fire Alien OG. That's right, White Fire Alien OG is the strain of the week. It is an indica-dominant hybrid. It helped me a lot with my stress. It really helped me a lot with stress because I was stressing, and I stopped stressing because of the Alien Fire OG. So it helped with the pain, a lot of the anxiety. It did, it gave me some cottonmouthy a little bit. I had a little headache, but it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. But one thing I did notice is it put my girl in the mood, y'all. Yeah, it did, and me too, to say. And it was all right. It was all right. I will highly recommend the White Fire Alien OG, especially if you want to put on our album, our Earbudz of the week. Joyce Wrice, get you some White Fire Alien OG, and you could make that a night, folks. I'm telling you, that is a night to remember. And I really, really want to stress to you that, it was like 10, 15 minutes. I was like, hey, girl, what you doing? She was like, hey, boy, what you doing? and from there, hey, the rest is history. So I made sure, though, that I saved a little bit of it to kind of keep those vibes going when we get home. So we're currently both working. She's in the back of the building, and I'm in the front of the building. So, but I did bring some of it with me also. So just in case on some lunch break, which is probably going to happen here for her in about 4 minutes. So I got it from, I think it came from True Leave. Yeah, it came from True Leave. And I think it was like some sort of actual, person that actually has some sort of exclusivity with them. So it might just be a True Leave thing. I could be wrong, though. So, but if you're able to go out and find it, man, I highly recommend that shit. It is the White Fire Alien OG. Check it out. It's a hybrid, though. It's a indica dominant hybrid, like 60% indica. So it will lay you out a little bit. It didn't really lay me out, but I was super relaxed. Like I said, it took away the anxiety, the stress, a lot of pain, so it relaxed me a lot. And and I do have some new severe pain with my lower back. And I'm just going to have to go to the doctor to find out what it is because I don't know what's bothering it. And it's kind of painful. So, but this White Fire Alien OG helped. It definitely helped with, it took the edge off. It didn't get rid of the pain completely. It's not like morphine or none of that shit, Demerol and none of that shit. So, but it was effective at making me forget that I was in a lot of pain, which sometimes is a bad thing because if you're in a lot of pain and you dull or numb the pain, you start working out the shit that is in pain and you make it worse. But I still kept, the conscious fact that my back really ain't that good, and I was able to maintain what I was, my resting phase. As far as I'm concerned, I was resting last week. Actually, I've been resting for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So, but it feels like I'm starting to come through it. My back's getting a little bit better. Everything is going a little bit smoother. And I can put my pants on now. I can put my socks on now, which is exciting for me in the light of the past 3 weeks. So things are on the mend. Things are on the up and up. Things are on the look up. So I'm going to take a break is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I might grab myself a quick, fast bite to eat. And when I come back, we're going to get into what's popping this week, which I kind of let the cat out the bag anyway. We traveled out of town. So when I come back, we'll be discussing what we did while we were out of town. I already covered some of it, but we'll cover a little bit more of it, a little bit more in detail when I get back. So you're listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Come on back. Check me out. I'll be back.
What's good, people? Next time you find yourself in bed with that special someone, be sure to get yourself some of JP's lambskin condoms. Not only are they great for brothers with latex allergies, but they're thinner than latex for that sweet, sensual sensation. So what are you waiting for? Head to jplsc.com right now and enter code VIBE for 30% off. That's jplsc.com, code VIBE for 30% off. I'll see you there. And remember, stay safe.
What's up, folks? I'm back. So, what's popping this week? Or what was popping this week? We took our house. We took our house again out of town. And, man, can I just say that living in an RV full time, I think it's fantastic. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And like I said, I do know that there are some rough times ahead because, much like owning a house, there is maintenance on the RV. And not only is there maintenance on the RV, the house part, much like owning a car, there is maintenance on the engine part, the driving part of it. So we do know that there's some perilous times ahead, but I just want to reiterate how much I love it. I just love it. I love it. And one of the reasons I love it is because we are able to unhook everything, stow it away, crank the engine, and drive to any destination that we want. And that right there, folks, is valuable. To me, it is, at least anyway. It's valuable to be able to move around, to change your state, change your state of being, to change where you live, to be around everyone or no one. It's very cool to take different routes. I didn't take the highway one time. I did take like an alternate highway for about 10 minutes because I wanted to make up a little bit of time, but I really don't like taking the highway. So what we did, like I said, we went down to Southwest Florida. We went down to Fort Myers to visit with my best friend and also to watch his daughter Jordan get married. And it was, the wedding was awesome, but like I said, we were trying to, at first we didn't really think about it. We were like, oh, we're in a hotel and we're in a car. Wait. We live in a movable dwelling. So we did a little bit of research and figured out it only cost us a couple $100 for gas and put gas in it. Got us some lunch meat and some bread and mayonnaise and cheese. And we hit the road. And it took about 10 hours to get there because I lollygagged a lot because we rode local highways. So ever so often we'd pull into like a little settlement or something like that, and we'd look around and maybe get out and put our feet on the ground and walk the dogs and say that we actually were here as opposed to driving through. We put our feet on the ground in certain places. So we took a little 2-lane highway out to a 4-lane local highway, and we just rode south. Went through a lot of country, went through state preserves. We saw a bear crossing not an actual bear crossing. We saw a bear crossing sign. So we were in an area where there was actual bear crossing, which I'd never seen that before. And then we also saw panther crossing, also down here in Florida. Hadn't seen that in a while. So, we were definitely out there in the wilderness, and it was, it was thankful. We were thankful that we didn't conk out and run out of gas because we drove at night. We went at nighttime, and the reason we went, or later in the afternoon, and it got dark. But the reason we did that though is because there's less traffic at night, and it's not as perilous of a drive. I already have like great anxiety, driving anyway, because everybody out here is fucking Batman or Steve McQueen driving around like a fucking asshole here in Florida. Sorry if you're an asshole driver here in Florida. I'm talking to you. But everybody around here is just driving like fucking assholes. So it was kind of refreshing to drive at night and not really be around anybody that was too incredibly reckless. We didn't see any cops. Not on the drive. I think we saw one. I think maybe one out, and then we saw one that was at a gas station or something like that, but we didn't see any cops. There were also towns, with populations of like 60 people that we passed through. There was some indigenous-looking Floridians at a couple of places that we saw. But it was fun. We had fun. She sat up with me, and we talked the whole way down. There was no lull in the conversation, and I got to say, every time we get in this thing and we drive away, we bond even more. We took a bunch of pictures. Our dogs were, they're getting better. They were in the beginning, they were hot messes. I got a Great Dane trying to sit in my lap while I'm trying to drive down the interstate, and that don't work out too well, especially if you're trying to survive. So had to figure out a way to get her restrained and get her comfortable. And now it's getting to the point where everybody's starting to get a little bit of comfortable feeling. Our Shih Tzu Bichon, he'll jump up and sit in the window. Our Chihuahua, she's a cat anyway, so she kind of just sits around wherever she wants. But the Great Dane, she'll climb up on the couch now and relax and go to sleep, and now we can relax, So my wife and I, we kind of take a stroll, and I got tired for a few minutes, so I pulled over, man. I stopped, and you know what I did? I sat and made a sandwich. You know what else I did? I took a nap. I sat there and I took a nap for a little bit just because I was a little ran down. And that right there, my friends, is the beauty of it. And you know what I did while I took a nap? I watched television. Well, not really watched television while I was taking it. I kind of listened to TV while we were sitting someplace. We got our generator fixed also. That was a blessing because it was supposed to be like $1,200 and it ended up being like $120. Shout out to Sanderson. What's up, Sanderson? Appreciate you, man. I really do. Yeah, this guy came over and just knocked it out. But I'm getting too far in the story. Let me go back a little bit. So our drive down, we passed through St. Petersburg, where we used to live. And as a matter of fact, we rode by the place where we used to live, the mid-rise loft apartment. And although the building is nice and the neighborhood is beautiful and they're adding more to it, I really am glad that we decided not to give these people any more rent money. I'm really glad about that. That really makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. The fact that we took our own fate into our own hands, made this decision, jumped into the deep end, and started swimming. We are treading water. Now we're doing the butterfly stroke now. And we are out here doing it. And I am, like I said, super thankful that we are no longer renters. We are renters, but we rent differently. We rent in an RV park, which is great, to say the least. It's great because the rent is a fraction of what it was in St. Petersburg. As a matter of fact, our rent plus the mortgage on the coach is less than half of our rent in St. Petersburg. Let that soak in for a second. I am a huge advocate for this lifestyle. If this is something that you thought that you might want to do, man, I encourage you, jump off the deep end, man. Take the chance. We had a blast. We were stopped in a traffic jam. We were in a traffic jam for a little minute, but we were at home, which was dope. We stopped to get gas, but we were at home. We ate at home. It's awesome. So once we got to Fort Myers, my buddy has a place where they store RVs and boats, and my wife and I, for the first night, we RV'd and boated it. We RV'd and boated it. And right there in the RV and boat storage place, turned a little, some electricity on for a few minutes, and we went to bed. But then the next day, we actually drove the RV to the wedding. We drove the RV to where the reception was going to be. So we drove and we had it outside the reception, and, we were going to be there for a long time. We were at the reception area for a long time. We actually stayed before the wedding started, and we went around the corner when it began to start because it was downtown Fort Myers. So we walked around the corner to the wedding, enjoyed the festivities, which was beautiful, by the way. And the producer, the recipient of the Dope Shit Award, and this is another reason that Gentry is just dope. He was the actual DJ. Him and his son Jordan, they DJ'd. They DJ'd Jordan's wedding. And then they DJ'd the reception, and it was great. G's flawless. A true professional in this business. So it was delightful, and that's when I first saw him. When I first got there, it was good to see him. It was good to see, and it was good to be a part of it, and it was good to go down and put some miles on the coach, and we feel a little more confident about it running now. We've taken 2 pretty substantial trips in it, and it has held up. Turns over one time every time. I do know that once we, start looking at trying to get out of state, we're trying to go to New York and then Chicago and then down to Arizona, over to Nevada, and out to L.A. by next summer. Try to be in L.A. by next winter. We want to see some other things. Then, we're going to have to do some maintenance to it, some more, just to tweak it out, just to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect, because the last thing we want to do is get somewhere and the belts have broken down, or get somewhere and, the transmission is bad, but it doesn't seem like any of that is bad. It doesn't slip. It's, it purrs like a kitten. So, yeah, blessed in that department. So we get to Fort Myers, stay the night in the RV boat storage facility, drive the next day to the reception, and attended the wedding, attended the reception, had a wonderful, wonderful time. But then Gentry, the recipient of the Dope Shit Award, and this is why he received the Dope Shit Award, really. I mean, because it was just a culmination of things that he did that just was fucking dope. He let us stay at his house, but not at his house. He gave our RV space to hook up in the driveway and let us connect to the power and the water. And, we stayed for a couple of days, got our generator fixed, and, he was just a perfect host, really, really professional guy, just a really humble, really nice guy, super humble, really thankful for the things that he has. And is, he's truly an inspiration to me and all the people, as far as I can see, all the people that work for him, So thanks on being a good boss, G. I do appreciate you, man. And, it was cool that you let us stay there, because, we were going to, maybe shoulder back up and drive home right away. We were thinking about maybe going a little further south to Miami and seeing what was going on down there. But, he just, was like, yo, man, if you guys want, you guys can pull up and stay here for a couple of days. And, we stayed for 2 nights. We stayed 2 nights. And then we drove home yesterday. We drove home, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Yeah, we drove home day before yesterday, but into the night, so I didn't get home till like 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday, 4 o'clock yesterday morning, but I was super recharged. It was a great trip. It was a great trip because so many positive things happened. So many positive things happened. And I'm just going to, snowball this into RV life with the wife relationship goals because my wife was a very big part of it. She kept me from swerving off the road. Even when she was supposed to be asleep, every 15 minutes, she was like, "You all right, babe?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "You all right, babe?" "Yeah, babe, it's just wind gusts," because we're getting some severe weather. It actually got cold here while we were out of town, and we drove back just in time for the cold weather here, and it's going to get a little bit colder by Sunday. Be 31 degrees out here in Lake City, Florida on Thursday. So people who think it doesn't get cold in Florida, think again. It even gets a little chilly down in South Florida, but we had a great time there. We had a fantastic time. We stopped, like I said, up in St. Petersburg. We saw our son, and we also went to our storage facility so my wife could get a dress for the wedding. And we also decided that we're selling all this shit in storage and cutting that cost, which is beneficial to us. But the most beneficial thing is that we were able to get in our house and go someplace and be accommodated and find accommodations. This is the second time now that we've actually taken a substantial trip. The first time we went down to Orlando, and we're getting ready to maybe take a trip next week. We're going to take a trip Christmas week down to Central Florida, over to Orlando to visit with my dad, my cousins, my sister, my cousins, my sister, my cousins, my son, her sister, her niece and nephew, and some friends we have in the area. We're just gonna sit in Central Florida and maybe go to Universal Studios, and all that's cool because we don't have to have a hotel. We're just looking for an RV spot, which is considerably cheaper per night. As far as looking for actual accommodations, it's really cool, and there's accommodations to be found. Especially now that the pandemic is over, there's a lot of accommodations. There's a lot of RV parks out there with accommodations to be found. Really nice accommodations. We found some stuff for like $50 a night. That was great. Some stuff that was like $70 a night. That was like exceptional. Like if I pay $170, I can stay right on the ocean in certain parks. It's no joke for the night. It's great. There's some places who they let you rock for the week, for like, the 100 and change for the week. That's great. And the more you stay, it seems like the cheaper it is. So we're definitely learning. We're learning. We are bonding more than ever because we live in such a tight space, and it feels great, folks. So, as far as my relationship with my wife goes in this thing, everybody was like, "Oh, you guys are going to get tired of each other." And, maybe down the line. But right now it feels like everything is everything, man. It feels like I don't want to be no place else. And if I do want to be someplace else, I just crank the engine up and leave and go someplace else. And that's where we are. And I cannot thank my wife enough for being open to it, being receptive of it, because a lot of people, I know there's a lot of guys out there that say it, but their wives are like, "Oh, I don't know," and I get that, but I will tell you, it is, if you can work from home, this is the greatest freedom you could get. This is the greatest amount of freedom, because my wife, she works from home, I podcast, of course, we both work from home, so we've decided at several places, we're going to start looking at several places to actually live part of the year. Or we might just live where we can live part of the year until we, either get tired of it or try to figure out a way to get it shipped to Europe or something like that, and then, do that. Because, right now we're just getting a taste for traveling full time, and, we absolutely, absolutely adore it. And like I said, it has brought us closer, And I've seen, I've watched YouTube videos where, there's been couples, that were together and then, they break up. And there was even a news story where some couples, they broke up so much that dude killed chick and then came back to Florida and killed himself. And, yeah. But we ain't on it like that. We just ain't on it like that. We trying to see as much shit as we could see, try to eat as much good food as we could eat, meet as many nice people as we could meet, and just live our life, live our absolute best lives. Now, I understand the RV thing ain't for everybody, but I get it. But find your freedom. Find your freedom. If you got a partner, find your, you guys' freedom. Find your freedom. Find that sweet spot that help both of you connect on a level that's beyond anything. And for us, it's traveling in this motor coach, seeing a lot of different things, experiencing things together. And it's been, so far, it's been one of the greatest journeys that I've ever embarked upon in my entire life, if not the greatest. So we look forward to many, many more days. This Christmas, we're going down to, like I said, Central Florida to spend time with family. And that is another great, a great reason that we did this is we can pull up and go sit and spend any infinite amount of time with the family that we want to spend. We can stay in Orlando indefinitely. Right now, we're up here with my mother, and whenever we're ready, we're going to go down there and visit with my dad and her sisters and all of our kids. So I don't want to babble on about how awesome it was to take our RV trip, but it was fucking awesome. And I look forward every day to the next time that we can crank this son of a bitch up and, see what's next. Now, I got some friends that are thinking about relocating, and we're already looking for RV parks in that area because it's, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to go sit and, be chill, and keep a hold of the people that mean things to us, because a lot of times people lose relationships and friendships just simply because you're not in proximity. You lose track of people. And now we have the opportunity to keep up with everybody. So we definitely love it. We definitely love it. I'm going to say it one more time. We definitely love it. And I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. I love you guys. And I love everybody who is listening. I love everybody who has listened, who has tolerated and put up with my ramblings and my babblings and my ums and you knows. And I thank you. And I hope that I can continue to bring you, content or good content or some content, some room filler, some noise filler, or whatever it is, or whatever you got me. You might put me on and to play for your dog, and that's cool. If you're out there listening, dogs, then rough and bow wow. Thank you for listening too. But I want to thank my producer Gentry Thomas for giving me the opportunity and the platform to reach an audience and reach you guys that are listening to my podcast. I want to thank my best friend Jay Yandel for inviting me to his daughter Jordan's wedding, and for encouraging me every day to do my podcast and helping me get better and cultivating my talent. I want to thank my wife every single day for every single thing that she does, because without her, I don't think I would have even listened to my best friend, when it came to this podcast. But my wife seems to believe that I can move mountains, and so far, this is a pretty big mountain that I'm moving, so I am forever grateful to her. Of course, I want to thank my mother and my father for bringing me into the world. And, man, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for keeping up with me. And I promise I will, like I said, continue to try and bring you the best content that I can. I'm still working on, I told you guys last week I had a surprise for you, and this wasn't the surprise, even though it was pretty surprising. But I'm not going to say it again until I got it worked out. I got to get it worked out. I'm trying to get it worked out. But please stay tuned, because especially if you live here in Florida, you're definitely going to dig it. So, like I said, I think that's going to do it for me for this week's episode of the Deron Harris Podcast. Join me next week for episode 37, where we do it all over again. I appreciate you folks. And have a blessed holiday. If I don't talk to you, which I think I got one more podcast before the holiday, before Christmas. If I think I do. I'm losing track of the dates, but I think I have another podcast. But if I don't, or if you don't tune in, have a wonderful and blessed holiday with your friends and family. Travel safely, travel lightly, and travel often. Really, if you got an RV, shout me out. If you want to get an RV, shout me out, and we'll chop it up and talk about it. So, again, folks, thanks for tuning in to the Deron Harris Podcast. I will see you guys next week. Peace.